God is making everything work in your favor. Don't give up, ladies and gentlemen. Today we gather at a moment that many of you did not think you would survive. You are here not because life was easy, but because something within you refused to give up. You walked through seasons that tried to convince you that you were forgotten, overlooked, and left behind. You faced doors that would not open, prayers that seemed unanswered, and days that felt heavier than you could carry. Yet somehow you are still standing. That alone is proof that there is a divine intelligence working quietly behind the scenes of your life. There is a reason you are hearing this message right now. Nothing in your journey has been wasted. Every delay, every setback, every closed door has been shaping you, strengthening you, and preparing you for something far greater than you imagined. Even when it felt like nothing was moving, something was always happening. Even when you felt stuck, life was repositioning you. What you could not see was that unseen forces were rearranging circumstances in your favor. So many people give up right before the breakthrough. They misinterpret the pressure as failure, when in truth, pressure is often the sign that transformation is taking place. When a seed is planted into the ground, it is buried in darkness before it rises into light. It does not mean the seed is dead. It means it is in the process of becoming. In the same way, many of you have been in a season of being buried, not destroyed. You were hidden so that you could grow. You were pushed into silence so that something powerful could be formed within you. There is a great misunderstanding about how blessings arrive. We are taught to look for them in obvious ways. But often the greatest gifts come disguised as delays, detours, and disappointments. You may have lost something that you once prayed for. You may have watched an opportunity slip through your fingers. You may have felt like life was moving forward for everyone else while you were standing still. But what if those losses were not losses at all? What if they were redirections to something better, something more aligned with who you are becoming? Right now, even though it may not look like it, everything is working together for your good. People are being moved out of your way. Situations are being shifted. New paths are being prepared. Conversations are happening in places you cannot hear. Decisions are being made in rooms you have never entered. Life is quietly positioning you for a future that will make sense of everything you have endured. This is why you must not give up. Giving up is not just stopping, it is abandoning the version of yourself that is trying to emerge. The person you are becoming needs you to keep believing, even when you cannot see how it will happen. Your faith in the unseen is the power that activates what is coming. When you choose to trust that your life is being guided, even in chaos, you step into a higher alignment with your destiny. So today, as you listen, let this message awaken something within you. Let it remind you that you are not behind, you are not broken, and you are not forgotten. You are in the middle of a divine unfolding. The storm you walked through was not meant to end you, it was meant to move you. And what is ahead of you is greater than anything you have left behind. Nothing in your life is random anymore. What you are experiencing right now may look confusing, slow, or even painful, but it is actually the visible side of an invisible rearrangement. When old structures begin to collapse, when familiar patterns start to break, and when people or situations suddenly shift out of your life, it is not because things are going wrong, it is because they are being reorganized. Life is responding to a deeper command that you may not even be consciously aware of yet. The moment you changed how you see yourself, the world had to start changing to match that new inner position. You must understand that reality is not fixed. It is fluid. It moves according to the assumptions you carry about who you are and what you deserve. The moment you internally accepted that you are meant for more, everything that was built on the old version of you began to lose its hold. That is why certain things could no longer stay. That is why situations that once felt stable suddenly felt uncomfortable. The invisible hand of divine order is removing what no longer belongs to your future. You are not losing anything that is truly meant for you. What is leaving now is what was aligned with your past self. What is being prepared is aligned with the person you are becoming. There is a difference between what feels familiar and what is meant. Many people mistake comfort for destiny. But destiny often feels unfamiliar before it feels right. So when life begins to shake what you thought was secure, it is not to punish you. It is to make space for something greater. Every closed door you are seeing right now is a redirection. Every delay is a recalibration. Every rejection is protection. There are paths you asked for that would have limited you. There are people you wanted that would have blocked your growth. There are opportunities you missed that would have kept you small. The rearrangement is not random, it is precise. It is designed to move you away from what you have outgrown and toward what matches your next level. You may not see the new path yet, but that does not mean it does not exist. When furniture is being rearranged in a room, it feels chaotic before it feels organized. Things are lifted, moved, and temporarily displaced. But it is all happening with purpose. Your life is in that same phase right now. Things look unsettled because a new order is being established. Once everything locks into place, you will look back and realize nothing was ever falling apart. It was falling into place. The reason this season feels uncomfortable is because your identity is shifting. You are no longer operating from who you used to be. You are no longer thinking from lack, fear, or unworthiness the way you once did. Even if you still struggle with doubt, something in you has already decided that you are meant for more. That decision has sent a command through every layer of your life. Circumstances must now rearrange themselves to reflect that inner shift. This is why people may begin to treat you differently. This is why certain doors that were once open are now closed. This is why things that used to satisfy you no longer do. The world is responding to the new self-concept you have accepted. Even if you have not said it out loud, you have internally claimed a higher level. And when that happens, everything that does not match that level must either rise or leave. You are not meant to chase what is leaving. You are meant to trust what is coming. Many people try to hold on to what is being removed because it feels safe. But safety is not the same as alignment. If something is being taken out of your life right now, it is because it cannot go where you are going. You are being prepared for rooms you have never entered, conversations you have never had, and opportunities that require a new version of you to exist. Behind the scenes, there is a network of movement you cannot see. People are being inspired to think about you. Opportunities are forming. Conditions are aligning. Even what feels like a setback is being used as a stepping stone. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is accidental. Everything is being used to position you where you need to be. When you feel lost, it is because the old map no longer applies. When you feel uncertain, it is because you are stepping into territory you have never walked before. That does not mean you are off course. It means you are on a new one. You cannot use yesterday's logic to navigate tomorrow's blessings. You have to trust that the same power that brought you this far is still guiding every step you take. The invisible rearrangement is also happening within you. Old beliefs are dissolving. Old fears are losing their grip. Old limitations are being challenged. You may notice that you no longer tolerate what you once accepted. You may feel a stronger urge to protect your peace, honor your worth, and expect more from life. This inner shift is not accidental. It is preparing you to receive what you once thought was impossible. What you are becoming requires a different environment, a different circle, and a different level of responsibility. That is why everything is changing. You cannot step into a new reality while holding on to an old one. The rearrangement is the bridge between who you were and who you are meant to be. So if things feel unstable right now, do not panic. Instability is often the sign that stability at a higher level is being created. You are in the middle of a transition, not a breakdown. You are being upgraded, not punished. Life is not against you, it is moving for you, even when it looks like it is moving away from what you know. Trust what is being removed. Trust what is being delayed. Trust what is being shifted. You are not being left behind, you are being moved forward, even if the path looks unclear. The invisible rearrangement is not something you need to control. It is something you need to allow. The more you resist change, the more uncomfortable it feels. But the moment you relax into the knowing that this is happening for your good, things begin to flow. You start to notice the signs. The right people appear. The right ideas come. The right opportunities find you. And suddenly, what once felt like chaos begins to look like divine order. Your only responsibility right now is to remain aligned with the truth that your life is being guided. You do not have to know how it will work out. You only have to know that it is. When you hold that assumption, the invisible becomes visible. The rearrangement completes itself, and you step into the version of your life that has been quietly preparing for you all along. What you consistently assume about yourself becomes the command that life must obey. This is not philosophy, it is the operating system of reality. You are not rewarded according to what you want, but according to what you expect. Desire asks, assumption orders. The moment you internally decide, this is who I am now, everything in your world begins reorganizing itself to reflect that identity. You do not move into a better life by working harder alone. You move into it by accepting a higher version of yourself. The reason so many people struggle is not because life is difficult, but because they are loyal to an old self-image that no longer matches their true potential. They see themselves as someone who must chase, fight, beg, or prove. And because they assume that, life keeps giving them situations that require chasing, fighting, begging, and proving. Your assumption is always creating, even when you are unaware of it, even when you think nothing is happening. The quiet belief you carry about your worth, your destiny, and your future is being projected outward into circumstances. That is why two people can be in the same environment and experience completely different realities. One expects doors to open, the other expects disappointment, and life delivers accordingly. When you change your inner position, you change the command. You do not have to force anything to happen. You only have to decide what is true about you. The world is not responding to your effort, it is responding to your identity. If you see yourself as chosen, supported, and favored, you will begin encountering evidence of that everywhere. If you see yourself as unlucky, overlooked, or blocked, the same world will mirror that back to you. Faith is not begging for what you want. Faith is walking as if it already belongs to you. That inner posture sends a powerful signal. It tells life, this is what I accept as normal. And reality has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your acceptance. You do not need permission from circumstances. You do not need validation from people. The only authority that matters is the assumption you carry within. This is why waiting for proof keeps people stuck. They say, I'll believe it when I see it, not realizing that they will only see it when they believe it. The outer world is always the echo, never the voice. If you want a new echo, you must speak a new truth within yourself first. Your assumption works even when it is negative. If you assume things always go wrong for you, you will find endless evidence of that. If you assume relationships never work out, they will keep collapsing. If you assume money is hard to get, it will remain difficult. Life is not punishing you, it is agreeing with you. The moment you become aware of this, you gain your power back. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You are the one issuing the command. You can decide to see yourself as someone who is supported by life, guided by higher intelligence, and meant for extraordinary outcomes. That decision begins to shape everything that follows. You do not need to know how it will happen. You only need to know who you are. When you hold the identity of someone who is blessed, opportunities begin to appear in natural ways. People offer help without being asked. Ideas come at the right time. You find yourself in the right place at the right moment. It feels like coincidence, but it is alignment responding to your assumption. This is also why persistence is powerful. When you keep assuming the truth you desire, even when circumstances contradict it, you are training reality to obey. Old conditions are slow to fade because they are the residue of old belief, but they cannot survive against a new, consistent inner command. You must not let temporary appearances intimidate you. The outer world is always behind the inner one. If you stay loyal to your new assumption, the old evidence will eventually dissolve. What you are seeing now is the last echo of who you used to be. When you decide you are worthy of more, you stop tolerating less. You stop settling. You stop explaining away mistreatment. You stop accepting limitation. That shift alone changes your trajectory. You begin making different choices, attracting different people, and walking into different rooms, all without forcing anything. Your inner dialogue is constantly issuing commands. Every time you think, it never works for me, you are reinforcing that pattern. Every time you think, things always work out for me, you are building a new one. What you repeatedly tell yourself becomes law. This is why you must become deliberate with your assumptions. Do not let old fears run your life on autopilot. Choose thoughts that match where you want to go, not where you have been. Speak to yourself as someone who is already favored. See yourself as someone who is already winning. Hold that identity until the world catches up. You may feel uncomfortable at first because you are stepping into unfamiliar self-concept, but discomfort is the sign of growth. You are not lying to yourself, you are aligning yourself with a higher truth. The greatest shift happens when you no longer ask, will this work? And instead declare, This is already working. That subtle change removes doubt from the equation. And without doubt, reality has nothing to resist. Everything you desire is waiting on your assumption, not your effort, not your struggle, your acceptance. Decide who you are. Decide what is true about your life, and then allow the world to prove you right. What you are calling a delay is actually precision in motion. Nothing in your life is late and nothing has been forgotten. Every moment that seems to stretch longer than you expected is being used to line up people, conditions, and circumstances so that what arrives in your life fits you perfectly. If things came before their time, they would collapse under their own weight. If they arrived without preparation, they would not last. The pause you are in is not empty, it is full of alignment happening beyond what you can see. When something is meant for you, it does not come in chaos. It comes when all the invisible pieces are in place. Right now, even though you may feel stuck, unseen forces are moving in ways that feel slow only because you are inside the process. When you look back later, you will realize how carefully everything was arranged. You will see how one delay saved you from the wrong outcome, and how one missed opportunity protected you from something that would have limited your growth. Many people think that speed is success, but real transformation is precise. You are not being rushed into something you are not ready to hold. You are being refined so that when what you asked for arrives, you will be able to keep it. Your mindset is being strengthened. Your discernment is being sharpened. Your sense of self is being elevated. These internal shifts must happen before the external reward can appear. This is why things sometimes feel like they are taking too long. You are being prepared at the same time your future is being prepared for you. The person you are becoming must match the life you are stepping into. If your dream arrived before you were ready, it would overwhelm you. If your blessing came before your confidence, it would not be sustained. So what feels like waiting is actually becoming. Behind the scenes, conversations are happening. Decisions are being made. Paths are being opened. People who will play a role in your next chapter are being moved into position. Even the people who will challenge you are being placed where they need to be. None of this is random. There is a level of intelligence at work that sees far beyond what you can see from where you stand. You may be tempted to compare your timeline to someone else's. You see others moving faster, achieving sooner, arriving earlier. But their path is not yours. They do not carry your assignments, your lessons, or your destiny. What you are building requires a different foundation. Your timing is not wrong, it is specific. Some things must fall apart before better things can be built. Some doors must remain closed until the right door is ready to open. Some people must leave before the right ones can enter. If you forced what you wanted too soon, you would block what is truly meant for you. Precision requires patience. There are moments when you feel like nothing is happening, but this is when the deepest shifts are taking place. Roots grow in the dark. Foundations are laid underground. You do not see the work being done, but it is happening nonetheless. When the structure is strong enough, the visible growth begins. You are being positioned, not postponed. The pause you are experiencing is aligning you with a future that will feel effortless instead of forced. You will not have to fight for what is meant for you. You will step into it naturally, at the exact moment when everything matches. Your doubt does not stop the process, but it does make it feel heavier. When you trust that everything is being arranged, you relax into the flow of life. You stop trying to control what you cannot see. You stop assuming that waiting means failure. You begin to recognize that stillness is part of creation. Even the struggles you are facing right now are part of the timing. They are building your resilience, your clarity, and your strength. You are learning what you will and will not accept. You are learning how to trust yourself. You are learning how to stay grounded when things feel uncertain. These lessons are necessary for where you are going. What is being prepared for you requires stability. It requires confidence. It requires the ability to stand in your worth without shrinking. The delay is shaping you into that version of yourself. You might feel like you are ready now, but there are layers within you that are still unfolding. There are beliefs that are still being released. There are habits that are still being refined. There is a deeper sense of identity that is still being established. All of this is part of the timing. You do not see the full picture yet, but one day you will. You will understand why things happened when they did. You will see how every delay led to something better. You will realize that nothing was missing, it was all being arranged. The pressure you feel is not because you are failing, it is because something important is forming. You are in the space between who you were and who you are becoming. That space feels uncomfortable because it is unfamiliar, but it is also where transformation happens. There is nothing wrong with you for wanting things to move faster. But there is also nothing wrong with the pace of your life. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be for what is coming next. What is meant for you is moving toward you right now, even if you cannot see it yet. The timing is not working against you. It is working for you with a level of precision that will one day make you grateful for every moment you thought you were waiting. Some of the greatest blessings in your life came disguised as disappointments. The things that did not work out were not always failures, many of them were protection. You once prayed for certain doors to open, certain people to stay, certain opportunities to work out. When they didn't, it hurt. It made you question yourself. It made you wonder what you did wrong. But there is a level of intelligence guiding your life that sees beyond your immediate desire. It sees where each path leads. It sees what would have happened if that relationship continued, if that job worked out, if that door stayed open. And when something was not aligned with your future, it was gently, or sometimes forcefully, removed. There are things you wanted that would have limited you. There were situations you begged for that would have kept you small. There were attachments you tried to hold on to that would have drained you. You did not lose them by accident. You were being spared from something that looked good but was not right. It is easy to confuse desire with destiny. Just because you want something does not mean it is meant for you. Your desires are often shaped by who you are at the time. As you grow, what is truly aligned with you changes. The version of you that wanted certain things no longer exists. You have evolved. And because you have evolved, what fits you must evolve as well. This is why some things had to fall away. You were moving into a higher awareness, a deeper understanding of yourself, and a stronger sense of worth. You could not carry old attachments into this new phase. They would have pulled you backward. They would have kept you tied to a version of yourself that no longer matched who you are becoming. What you see as loss was actually a release. What you experienced as rejection was actually redirection. What you felt as heartbreak was actually refinement. You were being cleaned of what was not aligned so that something better could find you. You may not know what you were being protected from, but that does not mean the protection was not real. There are outcomes you never experienced because you were guided away from them. There are struggles you never faced because a door closed just in time. There are pains you never endured because something did not work out. Your mind often focuses on what could have been. But what if what could have been would have hurt you? What if it would have delayed you? What if it would have taken you further away from who you are meant to be? Not everything you avoid is a loss. Sometimes it is a miracle you never see. This is especially true when it comes to people. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some come to teach you. Some come to trigger your growth. Some come to show you what you no longer accept. When they leave, it is not always because you failed. Sometimes it is because their role is complete. If certain relationships ended, it may be because you were outgrowing them. You were becoming more aware. You were raising your standards. You were no longer willing to shrink, settle, or stay silent. That made you incompatible with what once felt familiar. You may have blamed yourself. You may have wondered if you were too much, too sensitive, too demanding. But in truth, you were simply becoming more aligned with your true self. And anything that cannot meet you there must fall away. You were also being protected from repeating old cycles. Sometimes life removes what you are addicted to so you can break free. It pulls you out of patterns that would have kept you stuck. It forces you to face yourself, grow, and choose differently next time. Even the disappointments that felt cruel were often turning points. They pushed you to change. They forced you to look inward. They made you stronger. If everything had gone the way you wanted, you might never have discovered what you were truly capable of. What you are becoming requires a different environment, a different level of support, a different kind of connection. That is why some things had to be cleared away. You cannot build a new life on an old foundation. You may not see it now, but one day you will look back and realize that losing that job led you to something better. That ending that broke your heart led you to a deeper love. That closed door forced you to walk a path that was far more fulfilling. You were not abandoned, you were guided. You were not punished, you were positioned. You were not rejected, you were redirected. Even the moments that made you feel alone were part of your protection. They gave you space to hear yourself. They taught you how to rely on your own strength. They helped you discover what you truly value. You are stronger now because of what did not work out. You are wiser because of what you had to let go of. You are more aligned because of what was removed. What is coming into your life now will not require you to beg, chase, or settle. It will meet you where you are. It will match your growth. It will feel natural, not forced. So if something ended, trust that it was making space. If something was taken, trust that it was freeing you. If something did not work out, trust that something better is being prepared. You are not being denied. You are being directed towards something that truly belongs to you. The moment things start to feel the hardest is usually the moment right before everything changes. When pressure increases, it is not because you are losing, it is because the old version of your life is collapsing. What you have outgrown is fighting to survive. The resistance you feel is proof that a new reality is pushing its way through. Most people quit at this stage. They mistake discomfort for defeat. They look at the temporary chaos and assume something has gone wrong. But this is the moment when the deepest shifts are taking place. The outer world is struggling to keep up with the inner transformation that has already happened. You have already changed, even if your circumstances have not caught up yet. Your persistence is what decides the outcome. When you refuse to give up, you keep the new story alive. When you continue to believe, even when evidence is missing, you hold the door open for what is trying to enter your life. Doubt is what closes that door. Faith is what keeps it unlocked. Every time you stay aligned with the truth of who you are becoming, you weaken the hold of the old patterns. Old limitations begin to crumble. Old fears lose their grip. Old stories no longer feel convincing. That is why this phase feels so intense. Two versions of reality cannot coexist. One must fall. You may notice that things feel unstable. Relationships shift. Opportunities come and go. Emotions rise to the surface. This is not a breakdown. It is a reorganization. Life is clearing what no longer matches the identity you have claimed. Your only job right now is to not retreat into the past. Do not let fear drag you back to old beliefs. Do not let temporary setbacks convince you that you were wrong to hope. The storm you are in is not here to stop you. It is here to move you. When you hold the knowing that things are working in your favor, you remain anchored. You do not get swept away by appearances. You understand that what you see is not the final result, it is the transition. This is where true faith is forged. Not when everything is easy, but when everything is uncertain. When you choose to trust in the unseen, you are declaring that your future is more powerful than your past. The old reality will try to prove itself right. It will bring up memories of failure. It will show you evidence of lack. It will remind you of what has not worked before. This is not to punish you. It is the last attempt of the old pattern to keep its hold. You must not argue with these thoughts. You simply replace them. You say, "This is no longer who I am," and you return to the knowing that your life is changing. Every time you do this, you strengthen the new identity. You teach reality what to become. Breakthroughs do not announce themselves. They arrive quietly, often disguised as confusion. But once they settle, everything shifts. The person who keeps going when it makes no sense is the one who enters a new chapter. The person who gives up at the first sign of resistance stays in the old one. You are closer than you think. The tension you feel is the gap between what was and what will be. And that gap is shrinking. Do not abandon your vision now. Do not shrink back into doubt. This is the moment that defines what comes next. What you are holding on to internally will soon appear externally. Stay steady, stay aligned. Stay faithful to the future you have chosen. This is not the end of your story. It is the turning point. The moment things start to feel the hardest is usually the moment right before everything changes. When pressure increases, it is not because you are losing, it is because the old version of your life is collapsing. What you have outgrown is fighting to survive. The resistance you feel is proof that a new reality is pushing its way through. Most people quit at this stage. They mistake discomfort for defeat. They look at the temporary chaos and assume something has gone wrong. But this is the moment when the deepest shifts are taking place. The outer world is struggling to keep up with the inner transformation that has already happened. You have already changed, even if your circumstances have not caught up yet. Your persistence is what decides the outcome. When you refuse to give up, you keep the new story alive. When you continue to believe, even when evidence is missing, you hold the door open for what is trying to enter your life. Doubt is what closes that door. Faith is what keeps it unlocked. Every time you stay aligned with the truth of who you are becoming, you weaken the hold of the old patterns. Old limitations begin to crumble. Old fears lose their grip. Old stories no longer feel convincing. That is why this phase feels so intense. Two versions of reality cannot coexist. One must fall. You may notice that things feel unstable. Relationships shift. Opportunities come and go. Emotions rise to the surface. This is not a breakdown, it is a reorganization. Life is clearing what no longer matches the identity you have claimed. Your only job right now is to not retreat into the past. Do not let fear drag you back to old beliefs. Do not let temporary setbacks convince you that you were wrong to hope. The storm you are in is not here to stop you, it is here to move you. When you hold the knowing that things are working in your favor, you remain anchored. You do not get swept away by appearances. You understand that what you see is not the final result, it is the transition. This is where true faith is forged. Not when everything is easy, but when everything is uncertain. When you choose to trust in the unseen, you are declaring that your future is more powerful than your past. The old reality will try to prove itself right. It will bring up memories of failure. It will show you evidence of lack. It will remind you of what has not worked before. This is not to punish you. It is the last attempt of the old pattern to keep its hold. You must not argue with these thoughts. You simply replace them. You say, "This is no longer who I am," and you return to the knowing that your life is changing. Every time you do this, you strengthen the new identity. You teach reality what to become. Breakthroughs do not announce themselves. They arrive quietly, often disguised as confusion. But once they settle, everything shifts. The person who keeps going when it makes no sense is the one who enters a new chapter. The person who gives up at the first sign of resistance stays in the old one. You are closer than you think. The tension you feel is the gap between what was and what will be. And that gap is shrinking. Do not abandon your vision now. Do not shrink back into doubt. This is the moment that defines what comes next. What you are holding on to internally will soon appear externally. Stay steady, stay aligned, stay faithful to the future you have chosen. This is not the end of your story. It is the turning point.